Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. Today, the United Nations Security Council is set to vote on a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. That vote has been delayed twice in the hopes the U.S. would not veto the resolution. U.S. officials have requested more time for negotiations. If approved, the UN would be free to create a system for monitoring the delivery of aid in Gaza. The U.S. has already vetoed previous motions for a ceasefire in the region. As the fighting continues, the Hamas-led health ministry says more than 20,000 people have now been killed in the war in Gaza. UN officials say Gaza is plagued with infectious disease. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter has the latest.
Outside her family home in Khan Yunis, Noreen Abu Dhaka cries out. "Where is my sister?" she says. "My sister is here. My sister is here. Where is my father?" "Where is my father?" she asks again, but no one has the answer. The agony of not knowing. Hanan Abu Dhaka, the woman in purple, her sister-in-law, calls her husband Mohammed and son Hassan. The next day, the body of Hanan's son has been found. Now one of an estimated 20,000 people killed in Gaza since October 7th, according to the government media office in Hamas-controlled Gaza. Shrouded in a brown blanket, transported to the morgue, her hand never leaves his body. Inside, the boy will be officially counted among the dead. Name, Hassan Mohammed Abu Dhaka, the coroner writes, age 14, location of death, at home airstrikes. Gazan health officials take pictures with his name, his face too disfigured to show. Nurse Abu Ahmed at Nasser Hospital explains the condition of the body and signs of injury from the bombing are fully examined, then documented by the forensics team, and only then the family receives a death certificate. Logging Hassan's name and ID number, it's then sent to Ramallah to the Palestinian health minister's database. Counting the dead amid the chaos of war with little connectivity, with so many still missing, is challenging, and the Gaza Health Ministry does not differentiate between civilian and militant deaths in their wartime data. Doctors Without Borders says it's plausible this death toll may be an underestimate.
The level, the intensity in such a short amount of time, we have not seen that in our history, certainly in the region.
Back in the morgue's parking lot, Salat al-Janaza, the funeral prayer recited for the 5 Abu Dhakas. Their bodies quickly loaded into the back of an ambulance for burial. But there's no funeral, no Beit Azza to mourn their deaths. With a drone overhead, there isn't time. Molly Hunter, NBC News.
In other news, there is political fallout this morning following that first-of-its-kind ruling from Colorado's Supreme Court. It bars former President Donald Trump from appearing on the state's upcoming Republican primary ballot. Political insiders in both parties say this ruling could actually end up giving the Trump campaign a boost. The court ruled that Trump, quote, incited and encouraged the use of violence and lawless action to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. The court argues those actions were a violation of a little-known section of the 14th Amendment. A spokesman for Trump's campaign says they plan to appeal, saying in part, quote, we have full confidence that the U.S. Supreme Court will quickly rule in our favor and finally put an end to these un-American lawsuits. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins us now with more on the political implications for the former president. John, good morning. Good to have you with us. So as we know, Trump is facing criminal charges in 4 cases already at both the federal and state levels. So far, each indictment only appears to bolster his base. So why is it political insiders think this Colorado ruling is actually going to help Trump politically?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. I think it's what you just pointed to, that here's a president, former president, who is running, who has been indicted 4 times. And every time that happens, there's a rally around the flag effect, meaning Republicans rally around Trump. What we're hearing, from other candidates, from aides to other candidates in the Republican primaries, that they believe that this is going to help Trump, who has been making an argument that he's the victim of an overzealous Democratic Party that's trying to deny him Democratic access to the ballot, that's trying to imprison him in order to prevent him from running for president. So and by the way, it's not just Republicans. We heard from Democrats yesterday too. David Axelrod, the former advisor to Barack Obama, posting on Twitter about this, that he believed that it would help Trump. So this is really, I would say, roundly agreed upon in a way that most things aren't between Democratic and Republican insiders, that this is something that will at least help Trump in the short term, maybe even in a general election.
So what's some of the reaction to this Colorado decision we're hearing from Trump's 2024 rivals and also from the current president?
Yeah, Joe, what we're hearing from Trump's rivals is a little bit of a mix, but it's mostly supportive of him. Vivek Ramaswamy, the entrepreneur who's running for president, has vowed that he will withdraw from the Colorado ballot if Trump is not restored to it. And we heard Ron DeSantis yesterday say that he thinks that the Democrats are coming after Trump in a way that, in his view, is designed to help Trump. But acknowledging there that it might help him. And Nikki Haley said, that she thinks this is the wrong maneuver, but she's going to try to beat Trump fair and square. And then, of course, on the Democratic side, you've got Dean Phillips, who is challenging Joe Biden in a primary, who basically said that this was unfair, that without a conviction, Trump should not be removed from the ballot under the 14th Amendment, which says that an insurrectionist can't hold federal office. But Trump has obviously not been convicted of insurrection. And then there is the person everybody was waiting to hear from yesterday, President Joe Biden. I think we've got some sound from that.
Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly it's self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero.
And what you hear there from President Biden is, of course, consistent with what he's been saying, which is that Trump did participate in an insurrection in sort of layman's terms. But the question of, whether he's going to be convicted over that and whether that should remove him from the ballot is something that the president didn't actually address there.
And John, the Colorado Republican Party may have found a way around this, possibly switching from a primary to a caucus. Real quick, what should we know about that?
Sort of plan B for the Colorado Republican Party. They're going to wait to see what the Supreme Court does, and then they would need approval from the Republican National Committee and probably also the Colorado Secretary of State's office. So that's a little ways off, but certainly they're looking at what their backup plans are if, in fact, Trump is denied access to the ballot.
All right. John Allen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Now, the Colorado Supreme Court's 4-3 decision was based on a provision in the Constitution that you may not have talked about in your political science classes, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. NBC News correspondent Noah Pransky breaks down what Section 3 is and how it could impact next year's election.
No person shall hold any office who, having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, engaged in insurrection or rebellion. Chances are the 14th Amendment isn't near the top of your most familiar constitutional amendment list. In fact, it's probably behind the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 13th, 15th, 19th, that tax one, the drinking one, and the other drinking one too. But here's why the 14th could be one of the very most important of 2024. See, this insurrection disqualifying language was ratified following the Civil War as a way to keep Confederates and their sympathizers out of office. It does not explicitly require a criminal conviction, but it was really only used between 1868 and 1872. That was until 2022, when a court removed from office a New Mexico County commissioner, also the co-founder of Cowboys for Trump, and disqualified him from ever holding office again based on his participation in the January 6th riots. And then December 2023 happened.
A bombshell ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court.
Mr. Trump is disqualified from the primary ballot.
A majority of Colorado's Supreme Court wrote in its split decision, Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Former President Trump responded on Truth Social, "What a shame for our country, a sad day for America." And his campaign spokesperson said they would appeal and promised the decision would be overturned. There's only one court that can do that.
This is surely going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
So all eyes now shift to the nation's highest court, which may have to consider whether this 155-year-old amendment, which doesn't actually mention the office of president, should prevent the Republican frontrunner for president from winning an election. uncertainty that Coloradans are hoping is settled before they go to the polls on Super Tuesday, March 5th.
Our thanks to Noah Pransky for that report. One final note, 7 justices sit on the Colorado Supreme Court. All of them were appointed by Democrats. According to a report obtained by NBC News, social media outlets this week have been flooded with threats against those justices. A judge is ordering Rudy Giuliani to start paying 2 election workers who successfully sued him for defamation. The former New York City mayor falsely accused the workers of trying to rig the 2020 election against former President Donald Trump. Over the summer, he was found liable for defamation after failing to respond to parts of their lawsuit. And last week, a jury awarded the workers $148 million in damages. Now, normally, the plaintiffs would have to wait 30 days to begin collecting, but the judge is allowing the women to start collecting immediately, saying that Giuliani has refused to disclose his assets to the court. The busiest travel season of the year is underway. More than 7.5 million people are expected to fly before the end of December. That means a lot of passengers going through airport security. NBC News correspondent Tom Costello gives us an inside look at how the TSA is handling the holiday rush.
Permits, jackets have to go through the X-ray, okay?
3 a.m. at DFW, and the first TSA shift is clocked in.
Come on up, guys. ID and ticket, please.
As the early bird flyers queue up.
I just need your ID. Hold on to your ticket.
Up since 1 a.m., TSA officer Gabriela Ocampo, 10 years on the job.
Hands by your side. Keep walking.
And Air Force veteran Robert Bailey.
All right, do me a favor. Take your boots off. They're alarmed, okay?
80,000 people are coming through DFW today, 2.5 million through checkpoints nationwide.
Next 2, side by side.
To expedite screening, dog teams often sniff along passenger lines for any whiff of explosives, allowing passengers to keep their shoes on, while TSA officers rotate through multiple jobs all day to stay alert and focused. ID checks, body scanners, carry-on luggage x-rays, and a second look for checked bags.
We're not personally going in every bag because technology takes care of a lot of this stuff.
And 2023 is set to break another record.
Ma'am, do you have anything sharp or dangerous, breakable or fragile inside the bag?
Guns. Nationwide, TSA officers have so far detected more than 6,300 guns this year, 93% of them loaded. Most passengers say they forgot to properly check it in a TSA-approved case. The airports with the most gun confiscations: Atlanta, DFW, Houston, Phoenix, and Nashville. And the very officers charged with ensuring passenger safety are sometimes verbally abused.
We do not ever tolerate abuse of our officers. We will call on law enforcement to help intervene where we need to.
22 years after 9/11, the core mission remains the same.
It's the safety of the passengers. My family also travels, and I would like to think that they're in good hands as well.
A high-volume, high-stress day, and it all starts again at 3 a.m. Tom Costello, NBC News at DFW.
All right, that's the security part of your travel. How about the weather? Severe storms are slamming the west this morning with millions of Americans still under flood watches. So let's check the forecast with Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Good morning to you. I know that's what's on everybody's mind. Are we going to be able to get to our destinations? And will the weather interrupt that? Now, one spot that I want you to watch is going to be parts of the Southwest, specifically through the day today, California extending into Arizona. We've got 26 million people under flood alerts. We've already seen impressive flooding reports of folks stuck in cars that have tried to drive through those flooded roadways up and down the coast of California, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Luis Obispo, all included in that alert, as well as Phoenix. This is going to go through Saturday, and you can see these kind of bands of rain that are coming on in, and they do have impressive rainfall rates associated with them. So some additional rain over the next 48 hours leads to that potential for flooding for the next couple of days. Here's how it plays out. We've got this strong storm sitting out over the Pacific, but moving a little closer to the California coast through the morning hours today and eventually into the afternoon today as well. That rain and on top of it wind will be something we contend with across portions of Southern California through the day today. And then it moves a little farther to the east. It starts to impact folks across the desert Southwest. Specifically, Arizona will see some of those higher rainfall amounts. Totals coming in 1 to 3 inches, but we could see an inch per hour in some of these spots with a really impressive rainfall intensity. As we get into your day on Saturday, that cold cold front will push across the Great Basin, and it leaves us with the potential for some snow as well for parts of the Rockies, specifically the central and southern Rockies. So if you're looking for some snow ahead of Christmas, that's where you got to go because there isn't much anywhere else. Meanwhile, watch for the flash flood risk. We've already seen, again, some of those issues this morning. Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Diego included in that bullseye. And the slight risk is for tomorrow from San Diego out to Phoenix, including Tucson, too. We could see some flooding of those rivers, the creeks, the streams, all of that on the table with anywhere from, I think, an inch to 3 inches on the higher end. But we know it doesn't take much to flood some of these areas, especially when we're dealing with burn scars. So the mudslides, the flooding concern will be there for folks in that region. Meanwhile, the Rockies could get a good amount of snow in some spots like Durango. We'll see some additional snow for folks celebrating in Aspen, and that goes through Saturday. Now, elsewhere across the country, this is my favorite thing that we've ever said. Where's winter? Because mid-50s, upper 50s, low 60s in parts of the Midwest. That is not what you see for December, but that's what we're getting. It's a little chillier across parts of the Northeast, but you look down to the Southeast and it's picture perfect for folks there across Georgia, Alabama, 60s to mid-60s. A couple of showers and some breezy conditions across the South, but overall the biggest thing that will be impactful for weather today is going to be the Southwest, specifically California. Again, those major airports, Joe, LA, San Diego, Phoenix, spots that if you're trying to go west, then or wherever in that
right,
region,
and all the planes that go through those areas as well. I think it'll be a West
Could be an
Coast
issue.
nightmare. But we're going for the holidays.
I think I'm packing my shorts.
Exactly. It's going to be
Midwest.
who needs to go, to the Caribbean. We'll just head to the Midwest. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.